Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Vagina Dialogues. This is the Boxing Week edition. My name is Shirley Weir. I am the founder of Menopause Chicks, and I am so happy that you have carved out time this week to learn about your vaginal health. We're going to go through a short agenda today. It may be, depending if there's any questions, or I can go through some of the more commonly asked questions, about an hour. So if you have to leave early, don't worry, because everyone who signed up is going to get a copy of the recording in their inbox tomorrow. And I'm just going to share my screen so we can get started. Where is this? Here we go. Just move that over there. Welcome to the Vagina Dialogues. This is the Boxing Week edition, and I am so grateful that you have carved out time for your own health this week to learn about your vulva and vaginal health. We have an agenda that will probably last a little bit under 1 hour. If you do have to leave early, no worries, because everyone who signed up is going to receive a copy of the replay in their inbox tomorrow. I'm just going to let a couple more people through the waiting room, and then we'll get started. So welcome, everyone. My name is Shirley Weir. I'm the founder of Menopause Chicks. I've been doing this work for the last 10 years and really got myself educated over the last 5 to 6 years in the area of vulva and vaginal health. And so I'm going to walk you through today how that happened. We're going to start out with that. Then we're going to go through all the reasons why it's important for us to prioritize our vulva and vaginal health. We're going to go through all the things that sorry, tongue-tied. First event after the holidays. All of the things that contribute to vulva and vaginal dryness, all the ways in which we can prevent vulva and vaginal dryness, and all of the ways in which you can treat vulva and vaginal dryness. And I have a special offer for you today, which includes gifting a copy of my new book, which is called Feel Amazing: Your Invitation to Rethink Perimenopause, Menopause, and Postmenopause. So let's get started. Welcome, everyone. This first picture is a picture of me with a gift that I got this past year from a girlfriend. It's my vulva vase. Might also look like a butterfly, and I don't think that is a coincidence, but as you'll see on the next slide, there are a lot of pictures floating around the internet that refer to themselves as pictures of the vagina. And the truth is, the vagina is inside our body, and there aren't any pictures of our vagina. Usually the flowers, the fruit, they're referring to the outside of our body, which is called the vulva. I still use some of those pictures, even though I love my vulva vase, but there aren't really any great visuals for doing this type of learning. But it's just really important to reinforce what parts of our body that we're talking about. And then as you'll, what do I do here? I'm just going to let somebody else through the waiting room. You'll also notice here that I've added UTIs. So we're going to touch upon UTIs because that is related to our vaginal health and significantly impact by the decline of estrogen that happens in postmenopause. And also, just before we get started, I want to remind everyone who's here today that this Friday, December 30th, I am doing the last masterclass of 2022. So many members of the Menopause Chicks community have taken this class in the last year. It's also an hour and maybe an hour and a half, depending on how many questions we have in the Q&A. But it's an opportunity for you to put your name at the top of the to-do list to learn about your hormone health and to make sure that you are prepared for your next health appointment. You know what questions to ask. You get one-to-one text support from me, and we go through everything on the roles and responsibilities of your hormones, common experiences, and all of the options that you have on the menu for feeling amazing. Okay, so let's get started. Today, we're going to talk about vulva and vaginal health. And as I mentioned, I want to kickstart this conversation with hyaluronic acid. And I'm going to explain how I became so passionate about sharing this information and vulva and vaginal health with you. Then we'll get into all of the options that you have on your menu for prioritizing, preventing, and treating vulva and vaginal dryness. So I probably heard about hyaluronic acid from the beauty and cosmetics industry. In fact, they started using hyaluronic acid in cosmetic products around 2008. But about 6 years ago, I did a survey of the members of the Menopause Chicks community, and I asked them, what topics do you want to learn about? And it was overwhelmingly at the top of the list, solutions for vaginal dryness. And then once I dove in and did my research, I realized that over 80% of women experience vaginal dryness in postmenopause. And this is the statistic that really made me want to do this work. Less than 4% of women who experience vaginal dryness are currently receiving a viable, effective solution. So what that told me is, the conversations aren't happening in our doctor's office. We need to do more. We need to make sure that women have all of the options that are available to them. And I took this challenge to my colleagues at Pure Pharmacy, who eventually compounded a moisturizer that our members have been using since the fall of 2019. So 3 years ago, to rave reviews. So let me keep going here. How we got there, how we ended up developing a vaginal moisturizer is really based on this piece of research. And you can look up the research and read it in full. If any of you want to geek out on this information, it's at ResearchGate. And the name of the physician who led the study is Dr. Petra Stute. She is a gynecologist in Europe. And basically what the study found was that hyaluronic acid vaginal gel or vaginal moisturizer is as effective as localized estrogen therapy in the treatment of vaginal dryness. And so that's really exciting for a whole bunch of reasons. One, if the conversations aren't happening in the doctor's office, if women aren't receiving localized estrogen therapy or localized DHEA therapy, which we'll talk about a little bit today, this is one way where women can take their vaginal health into their own hands, and it's a non-prescription product. So it's something that's really easy for them to access. They don't need a prescription. They don't need a doctor. They don't need a doctor's appointment. All of those barriers that can get in the way of women feeling amazing, we've removed. The other thing about hyaluronic acid is that you can use it as a moisturizer to prevent vaginal dryness. And that is my own personal mantra. It's like, why would I wait until a grape turns into a raisin if I really want to keep a grape a grape? And so I have taken the prevention strategy with my own vulva and vaginal health, and it's been super effective. It's like, don't wait until your elbows, your feet, your face, all the other parts of our skin that we moisturize on a regular basis. Don't wait until they're super dry. Why not prevent that dryness from happening in the first place? This is another presentation that happened in 2021, and I include this here just in case you want to leave today's conversation and go have a conversation with your healthcare team. So these are some resources that you can bring to that appointment with you. So this is the International Society of Gynecologists. And in May 2021, they recommended to all their members, who are all physicians and gynecologists, that moisturizing with hyaluronic acid should be the first line of defense in working with women who have reached menopause and are experiencing that a significant decline in both hyaluronic acid and estrogen. And if that is like super overwhelming, or you've missed everything that I've just said, don't worry, because we're going to go through it in detail in this session, as well as when you sign up for the Menopause Masterclass. We explain all the roles and responsibilities of estrogen, and then what you can do when that decline happens post-menopause, and what all of your options are. So this is the original moisturizer that Pure Pharmacy compounded for members of the Menopause Chicks community. And then in 2022, so just about 5 or 6 months ago, we received approval from Health Canada so that this can be a product that doesn't have to be compounded, made to order. It is Health Canada approved. It has a natural product number, and it has passed stability testing, which means it has a shelf life of up to 2 years. So all of this happened because of members of the Menopause Chicks community participating in research and testing and feedback. And we're really proud, and we're calling it Feel Amazing Vulva and Vaginal Moisturizer because we deserve to feel amazing. Oh, I just got somebody I want to just let through the waiting room there. And yeah, and then today I wanted to also share with you that when you order this week, December 26th to January 7th, you will receive an e-copy of this book, which is called Feel Amazing, Your Invitation to Rethinking Perimenopause, Menopause, and Postmenopause. This is basically all of the content, if you like to read, that's in the masterclass. And the first 100 orders will receive a signed copy. So I've autographed and wrote you a little note in 100 of these. So if you want to order today, just go to moisturizeyourvagina.com and Pure Pharmacy is going to send you a book. Okay. So that is the introduction. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty. Vulva and vaginal health does fall under an umbrella that the North American Menopause Society has coined Genitourinary Syndrome of Menopause, or GSM. I don't use that term very much. I can tell you that there has been no day ever where a member of the Menopause Chicks community has said, I think I'm showing signs of GSM. It's just not a term that women use, understand, know about in common everyday language. And I can probably tell you that your doctor may have heard of it, but probably doesn't use it in your doctor's appointments either. So under the umbrella of GSM is this: vulva and vaginal health, or that's the positive way of forming it, vulva and vaginal atrophy, which means atrophy is anytime a muscle shrinks in size or gets thinner. In the case of the vagina, the lining will get thinner. It might even tear. That is atrophy. And one of the symptoms of vaginal atrophy is dryness. So that kind of explains, hopefully, and breaks out all of those words. And if you have any questions, just pop them into the chat, because I will stay here until everybody has their questions addressed today. Okay. So why is it important for us to prioritize our vulva and vaginal health? Well, it's a big, long list, as you can see here. I want you to sit comfortably for the next 3 to 5 decades. If estrogen is our juicy hormone, and it is, and it goes for that steep decline after we've reached menopause, which is 12 months period free, we are the first generation to turn 50 or 51 and have 3 to 5 more decades to live. And we want to live with as much vitality. I mean, sure, it's about longevity, but it's also about vitality. So I want you to be able to sit comfortably, move comfortably, go to dance lessons, go to yoga comfortably. The other thing that's really important about this information and getting this information out to as many women as you know, your mother, your grandmother, your sisters, your friends, all the girls at work, is that decline in estrogen postmenopause can also affect our bladder health, and the urethra without estrogen gets shorter and smaller, and that makes it more susceptible to infection. The most common infection is UTIs, or a urinary tract infection. And some younger women do experience UTIs, sometimes after they have sexual intercourse or penetrative sex. But recurring UTIs in older women is responsible for about 8 million doctor's appointments per year. And at that doctor's appointment, usually antibiotics is the only option. So we want to make sure that we keep not just the vulva and the vagina healthy, but we also want to keep the urinary tract healthy and our bladder healthy. And then the vulva and vagina are part of our pelvic floor or overall pelvic health. So when we take care of that, our vulva and vagina, we're also avoiding things like incontinence or pelvic organ prolapse, which is when a pelvic organ falls or descends into the vagina. That can be the bladder or the uterus or sometimes the rectum. I've even heard from women, I have wear jeans on here as one of the reasons why we need to learn about this. I have heard from some women who are experiencing vulva and vaginal dryness or atrophy so profoundly that they're no longer able to wear pants comfortably. That breaks my heart. And for some of us, that might be really hard to imagine. And we might think, oh, that'll never happen to me. But it happens. And so it's really important that women are aging with vitality and able to do all of the things on here that you want to do, including enjoying comfortable penetrative sex and feeling confident and amazing. Well, I might have to just move this little square so that you can see that. I've also added brain health, and it's connected to movement. Now, why would that be? Well, one of the first things that we do whenever we feel discomfort, sitting, moving, can't exercise anymore, can't go to dance lessons anymore, one of the very first things that we stop doing is moving. And that will impact our brain health. So I like to draw the connection that when you prioritize your vulva and vaginal health, you're also taking care of your brain health. There's a couple other reasons on here too. Avoiding UTIs is also connected to brain health. I'm not sure if you're aware of this or not, but this happened with my mother, and I've heard many other stories with older women. One of the symptoms of a UTI, especially in older people, and it can happen to men as well, is confusion or dementia-like activity. And so we have this generation of people who are living longer, but they might be showing up at the ER, their doctor's appointment, their doctor's office with signs of dementia. And it's a missed UTI. It's a misdiagnosed UTI. So I want you to know that, because if that is happening into a member of your family or someone that you're responsible for caretaking, make sure you just always rule out a UTI before it sends you down that challenging path of trying to find out whether or not your loved one is experiencing dementia or a decline in brain health. And then, of course, I've got, oh my goodness, costly. We want to do this. We want to prioritize our vulva and vaginal health and avoid incontinence and avoid prolapse because it's really costly. The disposable incontinence pad market is expected to hit $16 billion by 2025. And the majority of their customers are female, even though incontinence happens to men as well. Women live longer, they experience continence more, and incontinence is the number 2 reason why a woman is admitted to a long-term care facility. Number 1 reason is dementia, number 2 is incontinence. So that is a reason to keep the vulva, the vagina, the bladder, the urinary tract as healthy as we possibly can. And this is a situation that doesn't get better with time. Vaginal dryness will not get better with time. It's not something that you can say, oh, once I get through this phase of life, I'll be fine. Don't ignore it. Don't put it on the back burner. Once a raisin is a raisin, it's a raisin. And so we have to make sure that we have a way of making sure that all women understand how they can prevent and treat vulva and vaginal dryness. And I think I explained this right off the top, but 80% of women will experience vaginal dryness, and currently less than 4% are getting an easy, viable solution. So let's go through all the things that can contribute to vulva and vaginal dryness. And it is more than simply reaching menopause. Hyaluronic acid is a naturally occurring molecule. So our body makes it on its own, but it starts to decline in our 30s and in our 40s, and then more significantly post-menopause. So I'm 55 years old. So I probably started, my skin started to get drier as I reached my 40s. And now I use hyaluronic acid every day, moisturize the vulva and the vagina just as part of a regular moisturizing routine. Fluctuating hormones in perimenopause, so those years leading up to menopause, as our hormone levels start to change, that can impact vulva and vaginal dryness as well. Then we reach menopause and estrogen goes for a steep decline. Estrogen being our juicy hormone, our body really misses it. Our eyes might get drier, our mouth might get drier, our joints might have less lubrication than they had, and our vulva and vagina will miss that estrogen. Other times in our life where we could experience vulva and vaginal dryness would include postpartum. So if any of you have experienced having a child, postpartum hormones are also fluctuating, trying to get back to the non-pregnancy hormonal state, and that can impact vaginal health. The other thing that was a big surprise for me, I never really even thought about it till I started doing this research, is anyone who is on the birth control pill. And I know that seems a little ironic because you're taking, and please share this with the women who are younger in your life, anyone who's might be taking the birth control pill to prevent pregnancy and then experiences vulva and vaginal dryness. It just seems like a double whammy. So because the birth control pill is a hormone that we take when our body actually doesn't need extra hormones, it can impact the health of the vagina. You might also know someone who's going through breast cancer treatment right now, and that can significantly impact vaginal health. Moisturizing with hyaluronic acid is something that's just make sure that your friend or colleague knows that there are options. And although they're experiencing something quite challenging to their health, they are not meant to suffer in other areas just because of that diagnosis. Medications and other health conditions might impact the health of your vulva and vagina, and overuse of panty liners or paper-based pads. I never thought of this either, but they actually are so absorbent. They're made with super absorbent material. They pull out the moisture from the vulva and the vagina, so that can impact your health as well. Had you ever thought of that before? This slide, I've put P and T in brackets. So P for prevention and T for treatment. So I want to go through all of the options that you have available for preventing vulva and vaginal dryness and for treating. Sex, sexual activity, and orgasms. So when I say sex, I mean any type of sex with a partner or on your own, but that energy that we send to the pelvic floor helps produce natural moisture in the vulva and the vagina. Now, that might depend on your age and stage. So it's one option for preventing vulva and vaginal dryness. It kind of falls into that phrase that you may have heard, use it or lose it. And there is some truth to that, but it again might depend at where you are and your age in this journey. But it's a prevention strategy. It is not a treatment strategy. And so if you're already experiencing dryness and sexual penetrative activity is uncomfortable, that's not on the menu for you. Number two, it's a P and a T. So a preventative and a treatment strategy is to see a pelvic floor physiotherapist who designs a routine or pelvic floor exercise program for you, and then you practice that every day. So that might be Kegels, but not everyone should be prescribed Kegels. You need to follow the direction of your pelvic floor physiotherapist. Number three is to moisturize with hyaluronic acid. So that is what I was referring to earlier in the presentation. Vulva and vaginal dryness can be prevented and treated with hyaluronic acid. Oh, I'm just going to let somebody else through the waiting room. Hi, Krista. Thanks for joining us. We're on number 4 on this slide. So these are all the ways that we can prevent and treat vulva and vaginal dryness. Number 4 is hormone therapy. So that would be something that you work with a hormone expert, someone who is trained in prescribing hormone therapy, and that can vulva and vaginal health can be prioritized via hormone therapy in 2 ways. One, you might be taking hormone therapy systemically. So maybe estriadol and progesterone therapy might be enough. And so you're like, no, I feel great. And that might be enough to prevent vulva and vaginal dryness. It might not be as well. And so for many of the members of the Menopause Chicks community, most of the women that have reached menopause, and maybe they have been without estrogen. Sometimes, by the time they find Menopause Chicks, it might be 5, 10, or 15 years post-menopause. So they've been without that hyaluronic acid production and without that estrogen production for quite some time. Maybe hormone therapy is not enough to take care of their vaginal health. And it is okay to add localized hormone therapy to the vagina. That might be localized estrogen therapy, as I have on this slide here. And it might also be localized DHEA therapy, which is brand new to Canada. I just did a separate episode of the Vagina Dialogues in November about DHEA. It was with a gynecologist from Victoria, British Columbia. Her name is Dr. Kelsey Mills. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to include a copy of that conversation in the email that I send you tomorrow. So I'm going to send everyone a copy of this edition of the Vagina Dialogues plus the special conversation that I had with Dr. Mills about DHEA. And DHEA is another hormone, but is now available as localized DHEA therapy in Canada. DHEA is a hormone that once inserted into the vagina, it only releases the amount of estrogen that you need. And so that might be something that you want to take to your next health appointment and discuss what options are best for you at your age and stage. So just to kind of summarize number 3, number 4, number 5, you can moisturize with hyaluronic acid on your own as a prevention or a treatment strategy. You can use localized hormone therapy and you can use both. And there are many members of the Menopause Chicks community who do. It all depends on your age and stage. The only thing that's not on the menu is suffering in silence. So if you're using one of those strategies and it's not quite working for you, then it's time to review whether or not you should be adding something to your protocol or whether or not you have the right dose. And if you need any script tips for having that conversation with your healthcare provider, just reach out to me and I would be happy to help you. Now, number 6 and 7 are two other options. They're not FDA or Health Canada approved, but they are available to women. And so this is in the category of please don't give up. If you are in a situation where you've tried, you're not getting the results that really make you feel amazing, then you might want to look at red light therapy. There's an at-home device that you can acquire through a company called JoyLux. So joylux.com. I have met the owner and the creator of JoyLux, and a lot of women really like it. I mean, it's like a vibrator. I wish I had mine here. It's not in my office today, but it looks like a vibrator, but there's red lights in it that actually help restore the collagen on the inside of the vaginal wall. So do look into that if none of the other options are currently giving you the full results that you want, desire, or deserve. And then number 7 is laser therapy in a physician's office. So the most common brand name for that would be the Mona Lisa Touch. And some of you may have heard of that. I know some breast cancer survivors who have tried everything and ended up getting the results that they need through laser therapy. It's not approved by the FDA or Health Canada, but that doesn't mean that it's not something for you to look into. I would just kind of use this guide as the order of how you would prioritize your vulva and vaginal health. Okay, a separate slide because this is so important. Everyone has a dentist because we have teeth. Everyone needs to have a pelvic floor physiotherapist because we all have a pelvic floor. So that is my attempt at breaking down some of the myths. I know that I often hear, oh, I don't need to see a pelvic floor physiotherapist. I'm not experiencing any symptoms. Well, don't wait until you have a cavity before you go to a dentist twice a year. Don't wait until you're leaking urine or have an organ prolapse into your vagina before you go see a pelvic floor physiotherapist. So prevention, prevention, prevention. Now, if you need treatment for those things, if you're already experiencing urine leakage when you laugh, cough, or sneeze, if you're experiencing incontinence, either bladder or rectal incontinence, if you're experiencing prolapse, if you're experiencing pain with sex or back pain, those are some of the common things that a pelvic floor physiotherapist is trained to treat. It's a very personalized and customized protocol. And if you want to watch my first appointment, you can go to YouTube, my YouTube channel, youtube.com/menopause-chicks, and you'll see that, you know, the internal part of the therapy session is really like, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes, but I recorded my conversation with my pelvic floor physiotherapist. The other part of the 1-hour appointment that I had was this amazing education. I mean, what I learned about my body, my pelvic floor, ways to prevent incontinence, prolapse, and pain, super important. And yeah, I go twice a year. So I think this is hopefully, if you've been around Menopause Chicks for a while, you've probably heard me, but I have met so many amazing pelvic floor physiotherapists. This happens to be Sheila Zelmer. She's in Newmarket, Ontario. If you need help finding one, I can help you direct to that as well. And if you've been around the Menopause Chicks community for a while, you probably know this woman, this This is Kim Vopney. She's the vagina coach, and she works with women primarily online. She has amazing resources on all of her social media channels, and she has a challenge that she runs every month. It's a 28-day challenge, and it's really a great way for all of us to kickstart. Remember the list where I said practice regular pelvic floor exercises? Well, Kim's app is a great way to kind of get into the habit. The videos are high quality. You'll love the instruction. She gives personal one-to-one support, and every challenge starts at the beginning of the month. So now is a great time if you want to go to Kim's website and sign up for the 28-day Buff Muff challenge that starts on January 1st. I wanted to include a section here about moisturizers versus lubricants. So sometimes I will get questions from women about the vulva and vaginal moisturizer and whether or not it can be used adjacent to sex or used as a lubricant. It won't. The answer is both. I want you to use both. I want you to moisturize your vagina as part of your regular moisturizing routine, and I want you to use a pH balanced lubricant adjacent to sexual activity or for pleasure or for fun. It's not, there's no risk or harm in using the moisturizer adjacent to sex, but I don't want you to do that because it's, you're going to rub it all off. And so hyaluronic acid is this super strong molecule that can carry 1,000 times its weight in moisture. And so when you apply it, I usually put it on like after my shower in the morning, and then it absorbs like all day and works to restore the natural moisture back into the skin cells of the vulva and the vaginal wall. And then for sexual activity, use a pH balanced lubricant. And I use, and this is at the moisturizeyourvagina.com website or the Pure Pharmacy recommended products, but I use Almost Naked from Good Clean Love. The reason how I chose this lubricant, not only is it pH balanced and won't like upset the pH level of the vagina, but manufacturers of lubricants are not required to list the pH level on their products. And I found it was impossible to find that information on any of the websites for lubricants. And I certainly, wasn't going to call their 1-800 numbers. I mean, it just became this huge job. Now, I did do a little bit of research, thanks to one of the naturopaths that I work with and with WHO, which is the World Health Organization. Oh, sorry, these are some testimonials from the moisturizer. This is how I landed at the Good Clean Love moisturizer. The pH level, the osmolality, and please stay away from warming products and any product that has a big marketing budget. I'm not saying stay away from products that have a big marketing budget, but products that have a big marketing budget doesn't necessarily mean that they have a pH level or an osmolality level that is within the recommended guidelines of the World Health Organization. And that was a big surprise for me too. So here's how you can gauge pH levels. You can see Good Clean Love is a 4 on this scale. There's a number of brand names that are listed here. And this is from smittenkittenonline.com if you want to go look it up. But I can tell you that any product that is like minty, peppermint, promises to warm up your vulva and vagina, stay away from that because that's going to upset the pH level. Now, our pH level does change. It changes when we bleed, it changes with sperm, it changes with certain medications and health conditions, but having a healthy vagina means that your pH level can go back to the normal level quickly and effectively. It's not going to stay at, so it's not going to stay at like a 7, 8, or 9, which could lead to more infection. It's going to return to that 4 to 7 level, which, using these lubricants like Good Clean Love is going to help you do, and not take you out of that area too much. The drugstore aisle. I work with some amazing retailers, but this is just a picture that I took when I was doing my Christmas shopping about how confusing the drugstore aisle can be for women. So this is the eye level at my local pharmacy, and some of the products say moisturizer and lubricant. I don't know how it can do both. If you're using it as a lubricant, it's going to get rubbed off. Lubricants are like the same thing as putting oil in the frying pan. They're there to prevent that friction, and to make it more comfortable for pleasure and fun. And the other thing that I learned this fall, and one of the reasons why I guess this picture caught my attention when I talk about big marketing budgets, is I will often hear from women who say that their doctor suggested Replens. And I don't believe that their doctors are actually using Replens themselves. But I do know that I went to a big conference in Atlanta, Georgia in October, and there was over 1,000 doctors and physicians. It was the North American Menopause Society annual meeting, and everybody got a full-size Replens in their goodie bag. So, think about all of those doctors who really don't know the education that you're getting today on this edition of the Vagina Dialogues. They go back to their office, they get the sample of Replens, they think, oh, it must be good if it's, they're giving away full sizes. And that's how the cycle starts. So it might be in your best interest to ask your doctor, oh, are you using this? Is this something you use personally? Is this something that a number of the patients in your patient panel have been using effectively? Why do you recommend this product over the others that are available? Ask them about their education in hyaluronic acid. Go back to the beginning of this recording and earmark that slide I showed you from the International Society of Gynecology, where in 2021 they recommended to all their members that hyaluronic acid moisturizer be used as the first line of defense. Just the more information and education you have, the more quality conversations you're going to have with your healthcare provider. Okay, couple quick notes on incontinence. This may be something I already repeated, but this is the number that really drives me. It's that $16 billion US by 2025. That is the size of the paper-based incontinence market in the US. And so, and add Canada onto that. And it's just like, this is billion with a B. Not only is it inconvenient, but the impact to our environment and to our wallets is really concerning. 58% of nursing home residents will be using paper-based incontinence pads by 2025, more women than men. If you add that up, if you possibly are leaking now and not working with a pelvic floor physiotherapist to reverse that, you could be looking at, I think this is generous, $1,300 a year in incontinence products, and over 40 years, that would be $52,000. So if you need any help justifying going to see a pelvic floor physiotherapist, think of this number, the 52,000 number. Quick couple of points on UTIs. This is something else I want to include as a bonus for you. So when I send the copy of the recording tomorrow from this edition of the Vagina Dialogues, I am also going to include a link to this session I did in May of last year with Dr. Colleen McDermott. She's a urogynecologist from Toronto, and she walks you through all of your questions about UTIs. Please watch the recording and share it with especially the older women in your life that you love, because there is definitely ways in which we can prevent UTIs. We can prevent that inconvenience of needing to go to the doctor. We can prevent women from getting that burnout from antibiotics, because after you've taken antibiotics for UTIs for so long, they kind of stop working. So that's the reason I'm just super passionate in making sure that you have this information that you can take to the older women in your life. But quick rundown of UTI prevention for you. So UTIs are responsible, as I mentioned, for over 8 million doctor visits per year. That's a lot of time booked off work, a lot of, I think, emotional and impact to your schedule. And there is also a myth, a little bit. I mean, we know about cranberries. I think the myth is that if I get a UTI, or I think I'm showing signs of a UTI, all I need to do is to drink cranberry juice. Not quite true. What we really need is that concentrated pack. So the super concentrated part of the cranberry, and that is virtually impossible to get unless we're drinking like 32 ounces of pure cranberry juice every single day as a preventative strategy. Localized estrogen therapy. So localized estrogen therapy doesn't treat a UTI, but it can help keep the pelvic floor healthy and the urethra healthy. So let's back up. When our cycles are regular, estrogen is that hormone that's produced in the first 2 weeks of our cycle. And estrogen has a lot of jobs and roles and responsibilities, but one of its biggest jobs in the body is keeping everything juicy. It's our juicy hormone. Keeps our eyes moist, our mouth moist, our joints moist, and it keeps the vulva and vagina moist. It also helps keep the urethra at its original size, so it doesn't shrink or get smaller with that lack of estrogen. So localized estrogen therapy is a way to protect and keep the urethra healthy and prevent urinary tract infections. I hope you'll watch the replay that I'm going to send you. You might also want to look at the resources and the products at TheVaginaDialogues.com. So in the video, Dr. McDermott talks about estrogen therapy plus Utiva, and that is a product that she recommends. And so I wanted to share that with you as well. Oh, here is her quote, actually. There's good evidence showing the positive impact of cranberry on recurring UTIs, but not all cranberry products are equal. Utiva has 9 times more active molecules, which is the packs inside the berry, compared to most other cranberry products. So that is what the package looks like, and it is available at purepharmacy.com/menopause-chicks, but just go to utivahealth.com and learn what you can, or take that information to your next health appointment. So in summary, I just really want everyone to feel amazing. We all deserve to feel amazing. And part of the work that we do at Menopause Chicks is to make sure that you understand all of the available options that are on the menu for you. So these are all of the available options. I've broken it out into prevention strategies versus treatment strategies. And you can refer back to this when you get the copy of the recording tomorrow. You can watch, rewatch, share it with your friends, share it with your doctor if you want to, keep it forever, and reach out to me if you have any questions along the way. And speaking of questions, these are some of the common questions that I get, but I see that we have a couple in the chat. So I will close down my screen now and we'll move into Q&A. And if you have any other questions that you want to pop in there now, I will stay until everyone's is addressed. How does that sound? Okay, let me just stop sharing here and get into the chat. At the top of the chat, I don't know if you can see it or not, but I have included a link to moisturizeyourvagina.com. And just a reminder, if you order, when you order the Feel Amazing Vulva and Vaginal Dryness This week and through to January 7th, you're going to automatically get an e-copy of this book that I wrote this summer. It's called Feel Amazing, Your Invitation to Rethink Perimenopause, Menopause, and Postmenopause. And the first 100 orders are going to get a signed copy. I wrote a little love note in, I'm not sure if you can see it, it's too blurry. I wrote a little love note in there and signed them for you. Okay, let's see. Tracy asks, is the hard copy book included if I order the Pure Pharmacy hyaluronic acid in the larger size? It's only for the Feel Amazing, Tracy. And we're going to have larger sizes of that soon, but we're just waiting for the stability. It's made. We're just waiting for the stability testing to come back. You can send me a message and we'll figure something out. I suffered dryness for about a year before finding you and getting the moisturizer and then local hormone therapy. Can things come back, or whatever damage is done cannot come back? Okay, so let me explain that. It can be treated. Vulva and vaginal dryness can be treated. And the best analogy of that is the grape and the raisin. So there's a science project, if you can Google it, where you can actually turn a raisin back into a grape. And that is what I want everyone to realize, is that vulva and vaginal dryness, I mean, while I am a pro-prevention person, you can prevent it and you can treat it. But if you're using localized estrogen therapy now and using the moisturizer, you can't stop, because your body isn't going to go back to making the levels of estrogen and the levels of hyaluronic acid that it used to make before you reach menopause. So hopefully that answers your question. Sorry, 2 years. It was only noticeable during sex as I could barely lubricate. Yeah, so that's absolutely what we're talking about. I mean, some women will only notice pain or discomfort during penetrative sex. Others, as I showed on that wheel at the beginning of the video, other women are noticing it when they're sitting, when they're doing yoga or exercising. We had one member last year, amazing story, and I'll never forget, her name's Trina. And she wrote to me during the pandemic, her grandmother, who was in a senior's apartment building, she used to go to line dancing. And then all of a sudden she stopped going to line dancing, and her friends didn't know why she had stopped, because it was something she really loved and it was part of her, daily movement. And so Trina, her granddaughter, took her aside and said, "Hey, Grandma, like, why are you not going to line dancing anymore?" And her grandmother confessed that she couldn't move comfortably anymore because her vulva and vaginal atrophy was so bad. So Trina got her grandmother the hyaluronic acid moisturizer, and then reported how her grandma was able to go back to line dancing. So this is a conversation about sexual health, but it's also a conversation about our overall physical health. Okay, I saw this, it was great. Oh, you saw the UTI session, maybe led me to request local hormones from my doctor after getting a few UTIs earlier in the year. I've not had one since. Well, that's a great testimonial. Thank you for sharing that. And maybe everyone else here can watch the recording of the Say Goodbye to UTIs as well. Can you imagine if what we did was actually going to get rid of 8 million doctor visits a year? Like, wow, that would be so cool. Plus, that would be that many more women feeling amazing. The antibiotics create so many candida issues too when you have to deal with lots of UTIs. Yeah, I mean, there's just, antibiotics are powerful and they're great for when we need them, but not a long-term solution. Tracy, what about coconut oil? Okay, that was one of the questions on the last slide. I'm so glad you asked about that. Coconut oil gets mentioned quite a bit. Some physicians recommend coconut oil. I am here to tell you, set the record straight, that coconut oil is a lubricant. It is not a moisturizer. So a lubricant is something you put in your frying pan. You put oil in your frying pan and it prevents friction. Definitely use a lubricant for pleasure and fun and sexual activity. But it's not going to have any long-term benefit, right? So it's not working. The coconut oil is not working to restore natural moisture back into the cells of the vulva and vaginal wall. If I put coconut oil, it might feel great on my hand right now. It might feel great. It might make things smoother or slipperier, but it's not actually going to moisturize the skin on the back of my hand. If I put a product with hyaluronic acid or a moisturizer on the back of my hand, it's going to penetrate the cells and it's going to work to restore natural moisture in the skin. The vulva and vagina are skin. That's it. I know that there's a lot of confusion about that because as I said, some medical professionals say, oh, just use coconut oil. They don't understand the difference between a moisturizer and a lubricant. And there was something else I was going to say about that. Oh, yes, food oils. So avocado oil, olive oil, coconut oil have never been tested on the vulva or the vagina. And that you can read in the Vagina Bible. Some of my friends think localized estrogen can only be used for a while. What can I tell them? They can use it forever. And I can point them to the most recent hormone therapy positioning statement from the North American Menopause Society. I do a whole session on that in Friday's masterclass on December 30th. So send all your friends to menopause-masterclass.com. It explains the roles and responsibilities of our hormones when we still have a cycle. And then it explains what some of the common experiences are that we go through in perimenopause and postmenopause, and all of our options for treating those experiences, as well as breaking down the myths and misconceptions around hormone therapy. So thanks for bringing that up, Tracy. I'd be happy to help you and your friends. Jackie says, I've had numerous UTIs in the past couple years. I went to a urogyno for a year as well. My husband found some kind of bacteria in the bottle of Astroglide that we had for less than a year. And now I have PS. Oh no. I understand. I mean, it's disconcerting when we have any of these experiences and then to layer on not getting good advice from a healthcare professional like a urogynecologist, or some of the products that we buy and not having a good experience with that. I get that. I understand that. Just text me if you have any questions, or if there's any way that I can help you sort out what your options are. And even if you're going to a health appointment to have a conversation about some of these things, then I work with women and just give you script tips. It really helps build our confidence, especially if we're going into an appointment that's only 8 or 9 minutes long. You really want to be as informed as you possibly can be and as prepared, and then to know how, what their responses might be. This is what they might say. These are the tools that they probably have in their toolkit, and how that's going to align with your health values. So yeah, Jackie, let me know if there's anything I can do to help you. Can the vaginal moisturizer be used if you're experiencing incontinence? 100%. It can be used with incontinence while you're working with your pelvic floor physiotherapist. Tell them what you're doing. Yeah, I think that is the end of our questions for today. And it's 9:59, just under an hour as I planned. Thanks everybody for taking time out of your day today. Don't forget Friday's masterclass, menopause-masterclass.com. It's the last one of the year. I am so proud of the thousands of women who have put themselves through this class this year and have really come back and said, oh my gosh, like now I feel like I have all of the information to navigate these phases of life with more confidence and ease. I love what I do, and I couldn't do it without you showing up for these learning events. So thank you very much. And Tracy has one more question. Do you mind if I refer your Facebook page in other menopause groups? Yeah, please do. Menopausecommunity.com is a short URL if that helps you. Just share that with the women that you love. So have a great week, everybody. I wish you continued health as we wrap up 2022 and into 2023. Don't forget to order Feel Amazing by January 7th. Go to moisturizeyourvagina.com and the first 100 people will get a signed copy of this book. Thanks for coming. I'll talk to you later.